Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the organizers, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the webinar Resilient Strategy Thailand-Hong Kong Partnership. May I just shortly introduce myself? My name is Lisa Vaskaran. I'm an investment promotion officer from the Thailand Board of Investment, and I will be your host for today. This webinar is organized by the Thailand Board of Investment, the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau of the Hong Kong SAR government, and co-organized by the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in Bangkok, the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, and the Federation of Hong Kong Industries. This webinar is the first joint online activity between Thailand and Hong Kong since the COVID-19 outbreak. So before we get started, I would like to take just a couple of minutes to explain guidelines for attending this webinar. Please note that this webinar will be conducted in English. However, we have provided a simultaneous interpreter for our Chinese-speaking audience. There is a language option on the bar below. Choose Off button to listen to English, and the Chinese button to listen to Hu Tong Hua Chinese. The microphones and videos will be muted at all times. If you wish to ask questions, please use the Q&A function on the option bar below. You may submit your questions at any time during the webinar, but the questions will only be answered during the Q&A sessions. We may not be able to address all questions asked. However, the unanswered questions will be answered individually via email. The chat function will be disabled. I would like to also inform you about the agenda for today's event. We will start off our webinar by the welcoming remarks from His Excellency Dr. Kapsak Putagun, the Deputy Secretary General to the Prime Minister of Thailand for Political Affairs, followed by the responding remarks from His Excellency Mr. Edward Yao, the Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development of the Hong Kong SAR government. Afterwards, Ms. Secretary General from the Thailand Board of Investment will enlighten us on all of the investment supports and opportunities from the BOI, and will open the floor for the first Q&A session after the presentation. And after that, we will have a panel discussion on Hong Kong's role in regional cooperation and business partnership. And we will open the floor for the second time for questions from the audience. We will end the webinar by the closing remarks from His Excellency Mr. Yao and His Excellency Dr. Kapsak. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, it is a great honor to welcome His Excellency Dr. Kapsak Putagun, the Deputy Secretary General to the Prime Minister of Thailand for Political Affairs. Your Excellency, the floor is yours, sir.
สวัสดีครับ His Excellency Mr. Edward Yao, Secretary of Commerce and Economic Development of Hong Kong, His Excellency Mr. Bernard Chan, Convener of Non-Official Member of the Executive Council of Hong Kong, คุณดวงใจ อัศวชินจิต Secretary General of Thailand Board of Investment, Dr. Peter Lam, Dr. Sunny Chai, Dr. Daniel Yip, Mr. Nicholas Ho, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my great privilege to welcome all of you today in our very first international webinar, co-hosted by the Commerce and Economic Department Bureau of Hong Kong and the Board of Investment of Thailand, with great support from HKETO, HKTDC, and the Federation of Hong Kong Industry. I'm very happy to report that we have almost 600 participants registered to attend this online event from Hong Kong, Thailand, as well as other countries around the world. From my point of view, this webinar today is a very important occasion. It signifies our first critical step toward establishing economic normalcy after everything suddenly stopped since early 2020 due to COVID-19. Looking back, it would be impossible to organize this kind of event 3 months ago, when everyone was still very worried about contracting COVID-19 and very much afraid to do anything. but Hong Kong and Thailand have done quite well in fighting with the pandemic and have been very successful in limiting the local transmission so far. This achievement give us a breathing room to look forward into the future and organize this seminar on resilient strategy, Thailand-Hong Kong partnership to discuss enhanced economic cooperation between Hong Kong and Thailand at this challenging time. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 have brought about one of the severest economic crises over the past 100 years. The suddenness, speed, scale of the impact on financial market, tourism industry, export industry, and global supply chain are unprecedented. The IMF latest estimate projected that the global economy will contract sharply by 4.9% this year as a result of the pandemic. With the lockdown of economic activity, the close down of national border, many workers have been displaced from work. Everyone, big or small, rich or poor, has been affected. At this point, we still have not seen the full impact of COVID-19 and the end of the crisis yet. With more than 10 million cases around the world, almost 200,000 new cases every day, we cannot let our guard down. Both of our government have to remain vigilant and try our best to minimize the impact on our people and economy, and we have to work together. Ladies and gentlemen, like Hong Kong, Thailand is an open economy, a small open economy, which rely much on global export and tourism industry. So it is inevitable that the impact of COVID-19 on the economy will be quite severe. In the latest estimate, the IMF downgraded the growth forecast of Thai economy in 2020 to a contraction of 7.7% from the previous year, in line with our own estimate by the National Planning Board and the Bank of Thailand. With COVID-19 started to emerge. At that time, I still remember, the Thai government still very much hesitated to close down the border and lock down the economy. We try very hard to strike the balance between national health security and the people's livelihood. But once it's clear that the local case starting to rise by the end of March, the Thai government decided to put the health issue first and the economy second. We began the full-scale lockdown to fight with COVID, like in other countries. Looking back, it was a correct decision. Like Hong Kong, with strong medical system, with support from the dedicated medical profession, and also the responsive action of our population, Thailand have managed to contain COVID-19, achieve low mortalities from the disease, and also receive international recognition for our effort. On the other side, on the economic front, to relieve the impact of the pandemic on the economy, the Thai government introduced $61 billion economic relief and stimulus package to support the people well-being, as well as ensure entrepreneur and corporate sustainability by giving direct relief package payment to the people, reduce the public utility costs, using various loan restructuring measures to boost liquidity, and so on. I think Hong Kong would have done the same. Our next step after our achievement is to restart the domestic activity, rely on the local economy and domestic spending to ensure the business continuity to run and workers still remain employed. So far, the result has been encouraging, with businesses are now starting to reopen. People are more confident to go back to work, to shop, to dine, and to travel. The latest data from one international booking platform show very encouraging data. It shows that now domestic booking of Thai hotel by Thai tourists is now reaching more than 85% to 90% of the pre-COVID-19 period. when the corresponding number in our other economy, which is still struggling with the rising case of COVID-19, are only 15%. Today, I'm also very happy to share you with another good news. The Thai government is now announcing a new initiative as of this afternoon to set up a special travel arrangement with Hong Kong, with China, Japan, Korea, Singapore, as a first step in opening our border to international travel. First group will be business people, technicians and key personnel, as well as those that need medical treatment. I hope that Hong Kong and Thailand can work together and provide the best example to the rest of the world of how to reopen international travel. This special travel arrangement toward reopening of the international travel will be a very crucial step. Once we get the local transmission of COVID-19 under control, the next step is to stimulate more trade and investment, which will require exchange of business travelers. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the short-term uncertainty and challenges, COVID-19 will come to pass. It may take 6 or 12 more months to develop effective vaccine or cure. But given our medical advancement and capabilities, we will definitely find them. The good news is that Asia's potential remains strong. If you look around, countries that have been successful in fighting with COVID are from our regions. Asia will continue to be the center of gravity of global trade for the next 20 years, driven by economic powerhouse like China and other countries in the regions. Thailand hopes to leverage on the competitive advantage of its location in Asia and become a part of reliable and efficient supply chain for the global economy. We hope that we will become the resident hub for ASEAN manufacturing supply chain, given our strong fundamental, comprehensive supply chain, improved logistics network, and also our connectedness with other ASEAN countries. We hope that once COVID ended, we will become the choice of location for many businesses in the region, including business from Hong Kong. Many people told me that the word crisis in Chinese have two characters, danger and opportunities. So it is our duty to look for opportunity within the crisis. On this point, I think Hong Kong and Thailand will come out very well after the crisis from the global supply chain point of view. Over the past 4 months, factories in Thailand continue to operate normally, and businesses which used to work from home in fear of COVID-19 are now almost 100% back to office. With strategic location and our strong medical capabilities, global companies will give a greater consideration to Thailand as their choice of location, in view of in the future that there will be also other pandemic that will coming to the region and to the world. To capture this opportunity, the Thailand Board of Investment have taken additional action to support investors by relaxing some rules and conditions for BOI promoted company, and also introduce support measures for medical industry to accelerate investment aimed in coping with COVID-19. Secretary General Dong Jai will present a more detail on this later on. Apart from that, we also adapted to the changing environment by using more online platform to engage with investors worldwide. Going forward, under Thailand 4.0, sustainability will become very important goal for the economy. Our country will target new FDI in digital technology, innovation-based, bio-circular and green or BCG economy. And the aim is to create a higher value in its strong agricultural sector, also in its logistics and manufacturing supply chain to meet with critical global challenge and also enhance the sustainability of the business sector and overall economy. Ladies and gentlemen, with regard to Hong Kong, our two governments have been working closely for quite some time Last November, I remember Her Excellency Chief Executive Mrs. Carrie Lam have visited Thailand for the third time since she took office. His Excellency Edward Yao and Bernard Chan is also with her. Our government have agreed to pursue new economic cooperation, expand our existing free trade agreement above and beyond what have been achieved and agreed between Hong Kong and ASEAN, and also initiate a series of MOU between relevant agencies to further strengthen our cooperation. I strongly believe that Thailand can become a significant gateway to ASEAN for Hong Kong. This is a home of 650 million population. And at the same time, Hong Kong can become a gateway for Thailand to access into the Greater Bay Area, the GBA. In this regard, Hong Kong, as one of Thailand's most enthusiastic investors, is already partnering with a number of Thai investment programs in innovation, creativity, finance, human resource development, and startups. With COVID-19 are now more under control, we hope to continue our close collaboration, and I'm very much looking forward to even stronger and more active participation in line with the collaborative framework set out in last November. Today's panel discussion and the presentation by Secretary General Wong Jai will point out the opportunity in the regions and in Thailand, and our measure to encourage foreign investors to work in Thailand. I hope that this information will prove to be useful to everyone in their preparation for their business strategy after COVID-19. Without much further ado, let us begin this webinar on reinforcing cooperation between Hong Kong and Thailand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for this very positive message to all of us. Coming up next is the responding remarks from the Secretary of Commerce and Economic Development of the Hong Kong SAR government, His Excellency Mr. Edward Yao. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Program Host. And Dr. Kopsak, Secretary General Don Kai, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to see you through this webinar meeting. I'm in fact very excited and at the same time very relaxed. I'm excited because since last November, our meeting in Bangkok, despite all these challenges and changes, we managed to sort of come back and with a stronger team on both sides, both government and also business leaders, able to sort of see each other through modern technology, talking about how to reinforce this very close partnership. I'm also very relaxed because I know that I'm talking to many friends and like family members, because I still remember last time when I visited Bangkok together with the chief executive and a very strong Hong Kong delegation. My delegates often sort of cite me people, friends, or business, which are tied to their family and also the business community. So this very strong tie remains the solid foundation between Thai and Hong Kong relations. And also Dr. Kopsak rightly pointed out that with the signing of the free trade agreement between Hong Kong and ASEAN, where Thailand is a key member, and also the MOU and also the leaders meeting happened in the last 2 years, we can rest assured that, we will certainly move ahead with our mutual interests. I'm also feel very much reassured that both the experience in Hong Kong and Thailand in the last 6 months, despite the pandemics spreading across the entire world, I think we remain tough and strong. So to address this audience, I think the title that we picked, Resilience Strategy, Hong Kong and Thailand relations, is a very befitting theme to underscore the importance of this relationship between Thailand and Hong Kong. Let me echo Dr. Kopsak by highlighting this relations with 4 R's. The 4 R's of resilience, resources, resolve, connect. Now, when I say resilience, it's too easy to sort of use this term. The experience we both had in the last 6 months spoke for itself that, it has been a very, very tough time. Had it not been the strong resilience in every member of our respective community, we wouldn't be able to come over to the state where we are now. Such resilience involves, of course, the very strong input by all the medical and public health officials and agencies in our respective economy. It also demonstrated that both Thai and Hong Kong people are very strong supporters of science and particularly medical science, because we know that in fighting this battle against COVID-19, it must be guided out by our sort of medical science and frontline professionals. So gratitude to all those people in the front line helping us to contain the disease, to treat those in need, and also continue to maintain such a surveillance on this growing epidemic. The resilience also falls on the part of both governments by taking tough decisions at all times, because public policy, while guided by medical science, is also a compromise and a balancing act between various and competing priorities. We often say that we are fighting a twin battle, the first of which, of course, is to fight against this epidemic. But at the same time, we need to fight against time and against a slippery path where we must sort of take measures to rescue the declining economy. While no one is spared in this global economy in facing this epidemic, but so far I think we managed to put in all our resources and determination. So I think the most important part is for both of us and the wider world to maintain this resilience in fighting this uphill battle. And it also takes the entire community to be with us, because we are talking about an entire sort of community strategy for everyone to respect the rules and also some of the measures taken by the government, sometimes rather unpopular. But so far, the Hong Kong experience says that, well, through containment, through social distancing, and through the suppress and lift strategy, we managed to sort of put the disease at bay. But it's still an ongoing fight that we need to soldier on. Now, the second highlight of our common battle is resource. I would say that, well, it is a task of both resource and resolve. Now, of course, by tackling the COVID-19, it requires a lot of resources commitment. I listened to Dr. Kopsak mentioning that, well, the Thai government devote a very substantial amount of money to boost the economy. Likewise, Hong Kong does the same. The entire economic relief package we roll out by giving money to all the enterprises in need, among more than 40 to 50 billion US dollar, which is unprecedented. That involves almost 37 billion US dollar as a direct form of subsidy to all the enterprises, helping them in various sectors, and also helping every single company in need to retain jobs for their employees. Now, all these would, of course, be a heavy drain on the fiscal reserve. Fortunately, Hong Kong, over the years, has maintained quite a handsome sort of reserve. So we're able to sort of foot the bill, so to speak. But still, it is a very heavy toll on our economy. It constitutes almost 10% of our GDP. At the same time, subsidy aside, I think the Hong Kong strategy involves helping business through easing their cash flow through loan scheme. And I believe this has also been welcomed by enterprises. Now, one thing I must underline here in Hong Kong, being a metropolitan in the international community, in rolling out our measures, there's no distinction between big and small enterprises. Actually, whoever in need will be subject to this form of subsidy. At the same time, both local and overseas companies established in Hong Kong are also entitled to this relief. So in a way, we take all these overseas companies in Hong Kong as part of our family. Of course, included in them are also Thai companies, which we often take them as part of our family. Now, this not just do we need to have resources, but we need also to share such resources among ourselves. Within the community, we are talking about resources we need to build, not just in support of medical professionals, but also in different sectors. Well, this picture actually shows that resources being put into the community include those put in the home to cater for better preparedness for fighting the disease. It is also important to put these resources in the business sector, in the healthcare sector, as well as the wider public sort of arena. Now, looking at this is just initiation of picture. While we are talking about resources being put to every sector of the community, it actually opens up a great deal of opportunity for company, big or small, established one or startup, to look into area where modern technology or sort of anti-epidemic measures could be used as a business opportunity. Now, when I say that, well, it is also a test of resolve, because confronting with such a sort of unprecedented sort of challenge, I think every government would be faced with this dilemma that, well, pressure would be mounting within the community, particularly those suffering. But there is no quick fix. There shouldn't be any compromise on science or medicine or public policy or public health. So it could require quite a lot of determination for the government to sort of act on with our determination. There shouldn't be any blaming of others because, well, the pandemic sees no boundary at all. And therefore, it also calls for solidarity and sharing and support among all the countries around the world. Let alone there shouldn't be any sparing of effort by every government, every community. So with this sort of determination and resolve, I think Hong Kong stands ready also to sort of work hand in hand with others. Finally, the reconnect is also important, because while we are sort of tackling the local problem, it's important for the world to go back to normalcy. But I believe the world would be quite a different one after sort of COVID-19. To start with, unlike SARS, which Hong Kong had some experience, we have no illusion that, well, COVID-19 would all of a sudden be extinguished. Perhaps we might need to live with it for a while. So what kind of normalcy should we be bringing back to our own community and the global economy is something that we need to determine and design collectively. Now, so in looking ahead, I believe that Hong Kong and Thailand could position ourselves as a very important bilateral ally, whereby both Hong Kong and Thailand having the fortunate situation where COVID-19 situation is being stabilized. We should sort of put our heads together, both governments and also the business community, in sort of finding ways how to tackle this issue in a wider sense of benefiting not just our respective economy, but also our economic hinterland. I fully share with Dr. Kopsek's advice that, well, we should look beyond our own boundary. Hong Kong stand ready to put our efforts together with the Greater Bay Area, where we'll also be seeing Thailand as a conduit for CLMVT as well as ASEAN. So I believe today's seminar is only a step in the very major direction whereby Hong Kong and Thailand can stand together, starting the conversation, including the travel corridor that we have talked about just today. And also, I believe the speakers to speak later on can also provide additional input in how we can enrich and strengthen these relations. So I'll pause here, and later on, I'm happy to answer any question, particularly from the side of Thailand. And I would like to be joined by other speakers who will speak after me. Thank you all very much.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for your speech. Next on our agenda, Ms. Luongchai Asawatthipachit, the Secretary General of the Thailand Board of Investment, is here with us today, and she will give us a detailed view on all of the investment support and opportunities that you can receive from the Thailand Board of Investment. Ladies and gentlemen, after her presentation, we will have the first Q&A session. The floor is open for all participants to submit your questions, and we will pick up some questions for the Secretary General to answer. Madam Secretary General, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. His Excellency Edward Yao, Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Hong Kong SAR Government. Dr. Kopsak Phutrakul, Deputy Secretary General to the Prime Minister of for Political Affairs, Thailand. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me, of course, to participate in this webinar. We are very excited about this webinar. Actually, my team has been making preparation for this webinar since 9 a.m. this morning to make sure that everything would go smoothly. So I will spend the next 15 minutes talking about the latest situation in Thailand and give you a bit of information on what kind of support and opportunities, particularly those arising from the COVID situation. I really love the concept of 4 Rs highlighted by Secretary Yao. I think it really in line with the current situation. But in order to with no further ado, I'd like to start. My presentation today will consist of 4 parts. I'd like to start with why you should be considering Thailand. Of course, with the current situation, with the global situation today, of course, we are facing difficulties and no one is spared. Actually, if you look around, every country is affected by the COVID-19 situation. But of course, the beauty of the current situation is that if a country can find resilience to survive, that is the key to success. Last year, we had annual growth rate of 2.4%. And this year, of course, since no one is spared, but we try our best to make sure that our economy would recover very, very soon. The government is now focusing on stimulating domestic spending because the global market is still in the phase of recovering, so it's going to take quite some time. But Thailand is a sizable market. We have 67 million people, and with the second highest household consumption in ASEAN, with around 52 million middle-class consumers. And as we are an export-oriented country, similar to Hong Kong, if you look at the performance of our exports, of course, we have the figures of the first 5 months of this year, our exports went down by 3.7%. But if we compare to many other countries around the world, particularly in this region, actually we're not doing too bad at all because our export growth, our export performance is still above the average performance of countries in this region. Particularly the sectors that have been benefiting from the COVID-19 situation includes the food sector and also data processing, telecommunication, equipment, and so on. We often talk about location. Of course, everyone seems to be claiming to be the hub of something. So we can claim to be the hub of ASEAN, particularly if you look at CLMVT. Certainly Thailand can be the regional hub of the so-called mainland ASEAN. And this position is also supported by free trade agreements. We have 13 free trade agreements and many more are coming. So that would help ease the movement of goods. And we are working continuously to improve our competitiveness, particularly the ease of doing business. Dr. Kopsak himself has been in charge of the regulatory guillotine project, which is expected to chop off the unnecessary regulations or rules that might be a little bit archaic or are no longer necessary. With that, Thailand is a second home for many international companies in all kinds of industries and services. More and more companies, more and more multinational corporations are moving in, particularly in services, because the Thai economy is also at the moment, about 50% of our GDP is derived from services already. So we expect to see more activities in the services. As regards investment from Hong Kong, I'm very pleased to report that we seem to see start to see the rising trend starting in 2018. Particularly last year, we received quite a lot of investment from Hong Kong. But I have to say that some of the investment projects by companies that might have a regional office in Hong Kong. If we looked into detail, some of the companies might be Chinese. But if we combine Chinese investment with Hong Kong investment, we can see that the investment from China and Hong Kong has certainly surpassed that from Japan, which has been the largest foreign investment source in Thailand since the late 80s. So it's the first time ever that China surpassed investment from Japan. Now the second part that I would like to turn to, that is the introduction to the board investment promotion scheme. So something that is close to my heart is what I do every day. I'd like to start by talking about non-tax incentives first. Normally we start talking about tax incentives, but this time I like to talk about non-tax incentives because they are the basic incentives that investors should be getting because it makes your life easier. First of all, we allow 100% foreign ownership. I noticed that some of the questions that were sent before the webinar that were sent in advance also asked about the possibility of having 100% foreign ownership. Of course, the board investment allows 100% foreign ownership. Under the Foreign Business Act, which is administered by the Ministry of Commerce, there are some restricted areas, but the BOI, the board investment, could grant waivers to those restrictions. So we allow 100% foreign ownership in most activities, if not all. And in terms of remittance and sending money in, sending money out, no problem. We have had no restrictions. In fact, we have liberalized our forex regime since the late 90s. And also land ownership, this is also a question that people often ask. And if a company is, although it's 100% or foreign majority owned companies, if they are BOI promoted, then the companies then can own land. And there is no specific quota as regards the size of land that is possible. There is no quota in terms of the time span, how long you can own the land, etc. As long as you implement the BOI promoted project, then you can own land. And last but not least, visas and work permits facilitation. We facilitate companies when they need to send in expats to work in Thailand. We also have a special unit called Smart Visa unit, which provides smart visas for foreign talents and also foreign investors and executives in the targeted sectors. And during the COVID situation, actually, our visa unit has been working very hard because we are also responsible for help screening expats who need to come into Thailand. Although we have closed the border, we closed the sky, but people who need to come into Thailand can come, but they have to go through some screening process, and we are also responsible for that. And we have approved a lot of expats to come to travel to Thailand already, but of course they still need to be put they have to spend 14 days in the alternative state quarantine. That's all about the non-tax incentives. I'd like to turn to the tax incentives. Our major tax incentives include corporate income tax exemption and also 50% reduction of corporate income tax after the expiry of the exemption period. And in cases where we don't grant exemption of corporate income tax, we may grant 50% tax reduction for up to 10 years, and also investment tax allowance. Moreover, we provide exemption of import duties on machinery and also on raw materials that are needed for the production of exports. The way we grant tax incentives, we basically have the so-called activity-based approach. Normally, the length of tax holidays or the amount of the degree of tax incentives would depend very much on what you do, or what kind of what kind of product or what kind of services you are offering. We look at the level of technologies. We look at the role of those products or services in the supply chain, etc. Currently, we focus on, of course, enticing higher technology activities to Thailand. We hope that we could, building on the existing industries and being lifted to the next level in terms of science and technology. And we are encouraging companies to conduct research and development, and particularly to work with our universities or our research institutions by providing them with some extra tax incentives if they do so. Also, currently we also focusing on human resource development. Since we want to move up the technology ladder, we certainly need the right manpower. So at the moment, the government is focusing on reskilling people, upskilling, and also obtaining new skills, particularly in areas such as digital, AI, and also automation and robotics. We also grant additional tax incentives if for projects are located in certain areas that are our targets, such as the EEC, the Eastern Economic Corridor, or the Special Economic Zone. On top of that, for existing companies, we are encouraging them to improve their productivity, such as to adopt automation and robotics and digitization and so on, and also to use renewable energy. So we grant them some tax incentives if they do that. For the audience who are thinking about doing business in Thailand, if you are located in the Eastern Economic Corridor, which comprises of the 3 provinces in the Eastern Seaboard, you might be able to get additional tax holidays or some extra tax incentives, because it's one of the most important area in Thailand, and it is still the main target for further development. We see this area as our new hub for ASEAN, not only for Thailand, but new growth hub of ASEAN. And we grant very attractive tax incentives for companies that are located in this area. I would not go into details of the kind of tax incentives that we are giving, but I can guarantee you that we're giving very attractive tax incentives for those of you who are in this area. But the key is that we also would like to see companies participate in human resource development, because that becomes a key criterion for granting additional tax incentives. And at the moment, we're running a special program, I would say a special promotion campaign, in order to stimulate investment or accelerate investment, in order to help propel the country's economic growth. At the moment, we're offering additional 5 years of 50% reduction on top of the normal package. So that's the incentives that we are giving. So I would turn to the next topic, that is sector of opportunities for Thailand. Of course, agro-processing and food industry. In whatever situation, we still need to eat. So Thailand has been the sort of a kitchen of the world. So we would certainly continue to do that. But we would like to adopt higher technologies in doing that. So This is one area. And another area would be smart electronics. We hope that we can attract Hong Kong companies in the smart electronics industry to Thailand. We have had some companies already in relocating from China to Thailand, companies from Taiwan, from China, and also from Hong Kong, and we'd like to see more. Certainly this industry, electronics and electrical industry, has been a leading player in our export sector for decades, and it will continue to be our leading sector. And we hope that we could perhaps diversify our structure of our electronics export by including more smart electronics. A lot of products are related to computers and computer parts, and also hard disk drives. Digital industry, everyone is talking about digitization. Of course, a lot of opportunities for companies from Hong Kong in the digital industries, particularly for startups. Thailand is a perfect market for that because very high penetration of mobile phones, and also a high percentage of internet users among the Thai population. Opportunities in many key sectors here: healthcare, education, smart farming, and also manufacturing sector. And the government, the BOI, is providing tax incentives to companies that are trying to convert themselves or adopting digital technologies into their manufacturing. Medical industry, much has been talked about COVID-19 situation. Of course, that has led to a lot of opportunities for the medical industries. And Thailand is already a medical hub for this region. Every year we have 3.5 million medical tourists. So we could be a perfect location for the medical industry, whether it be medical service or medical devices and pharmaceutical industry. We are already the largest exporter of medical devices in ASEAN. And these are some examples of companies that are already here. We expect to get more from overseas. And pharmaceutical markets in Thailand are quite sizable because of the medical tourism in Thailand. So a lot of opportunities for companies in the medical sectors. Logistics hub in ASEAN, of course, Thailand, particularly Eastern Economic Corridor, aims to be the logistic hub of ASEAN. And this presents a lot of good opportunities for Hong Kong companies that have a lot of expertise in this area. We already talked about startup, and I'd like to show you this slide, which is quite small to see because a lot of details there. But we are offering a very good startup ecosystem, and we are improving the ecosystem every day. And we very much would like to see startups from Hong Kong participating in Thailand, because you can have very good access into the ASEAN market. And Thailand is often an excellent launching pad for new services for startups. Last but not least, the BOI services. We have our one-stop center providing services to both new and existing investors. You can contact us, and we act as a go-between between investors and other government agencies. So that would help save your time and make your contact or to Thailand more efficient. And Smart Visa, I already mentioned. We have currently different 5 types of Smart Visas given to foreign talents and attracting foreign talents and foreign technologies. The most popular type of Smart Visa would be Smart S startup. About half of the Smart Visa holders at the moment are startup entrepreneurs. So that's, I'd like to, since my time is up, and I'd like to end my presentation now, and this is where we can you can find us, and we very much look forward to hearing from you very soon. Thank you very much. สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary General, for your presentation. For those who have questions, please use the Q&A button below. It's on the option bar. And we'll pick up some of the questions for the Secretary General to answer. And as I've mentioned before, the unanswered questions from today will be answered individually via email by our officers. So the first question I have to you right here, Madam Secretary General, it is a general question. What are the strategic development directions for industries in Thailand?
The directions at the moment would be, of course, to continue developing our so-called targeted industries. We have identified so far 12 targeted industries. Part of these targeted industries are existing ones that we are doing very well, but we would like to take them to the next level, such as the food industry, the tourism industry, and also the electronics industry, the electrical appliance industry. And the other part of these targeted industries would be the ones that are quite new, such as automation and robotics. So these targeted industries are still our goal of industrial development for the next phase. Another thing that we are focusing on that I already mentioned, that is human resource development. A lot of efforts are now being dedicated to human resources today, because that would be the key to success in the future. And as for industrialization, we also focus on enhancing the productivity of existing companies. So not just attracting new ones, but also to make sure that existing ones remain competitive.
Thank you very much. The second question to you here is, COVID is absolutely a great challenge for all of us, especially for businesses. Are there any specific measures to support investors through this difficult time? Specific measures from the BOI? Thank you.
Specific measures from the BOI are targeted at existing companies, such as we extend the deadline for project implementation, some of the requirements. Normally, if companies may fail to meet the requirements, they might be penalized. But this time around, we extend the deadlines, and there are no penalties to make sure that people can still implement the project smoothly. There might be some, we also have adopted some more additional electronic services. During the peak of the situation here, we have decided to go for total e-submission. That means companies can submit documents to us via the electronic Dropbox. So there is no need, at that time there was no need to come to our office. Even today, if people still would like to submit documents via online, they still can do so. The rest would be some, we came out with some additional tax incentives for the medical industry.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary General. Since we have a very limited time, I'd like to move on to the next session. We still have another Q&A session after the next session. Ladies and gentlemen, the next session for today is a panel discussion. We are very honored to have a wide range of experts with in-depth knowledge to share on what is actually Hong Kong's role in regional cooperation and business partnership. May I just introduce our distinguished panelists for this session. Our first panelist is Dr. Peter Lam. He is the chairman of Hong Kong Trade Development Council. Our second panelist is Dr. Sunny Chai. He is the chairman of Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks Corporation. Our third panelist is Dr. Daniel Yip. He is the chairman of Federation of Hong Kong Industries. And our last panelist is Mr. Nicholas Ho. He is the chairman of Ho and Partners Architects and also the advisor for Charge Spot, SnapAs, and Pronetics. I would like to also introduce the moderator of the panel discussion, the Honorable Mr. Bernard Chan. He's the convener of the non-official members at the Executive Council of the Hong Kong SAR government. I would like to hand over the microphone to the Honorable Mr. Bernard Chan. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Excellency Deputy Secretary General Dr. Kosab, Secretary Edward Yao, and Madam Secretary General Kun Tun Jai, we are very honored to be sharing this conference with our audience from both Hong Kong and as well as from Thailand. As mentioned by the MC, we have a very distinguished panelist with us this afternoon. Perhaps maybe allow me to elaborate a little bit more about their profile and their background, because they are all very distinguished. To my immediate left is the Dr. Peter Lam. He's the chairman of the Hong Kong Trade Development Council. For those of you who are not familiar with the Trade Development Council, they are tasked by Hong Kong government to explore opportunities for Hong Kong companies, especially the smaller and medium enterprises, to connect them with business partners around the world. So they are by far the single largest council in Hong Kong in helping the Hong Kong businessmen. Apart from his official role, Dr. Lam is also a standing committee member of the 13th National Committee of the Chinese Political Consultative Conference. And essentially, he is the advisor to the Chinese government. And previously, Dr. Lam was also the chairman for the Hong Kong Tourism Board from 2013 to 2019. So he knows a lot about tourism and promoting Hong Kong to the world. That's his public role, but his private role, he's also a business owner with extensive interest in both hospitality business, media, and entertainment business. And he's definitely no stranger to Thailand, as he has many investments in Thailand in the past and also now. And to the left of Dr. Lam is Dr. Sunny Chai. Dr. Chai, he is the chairman for the Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks, which is also set up by Hong Kong government back in 2001 to foster the development of innovation and technologies in Hong Kong. And under the Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks, they operate the Hong Kong Science Park, which is for technology and R&D companies. They also operate the Inno Center, which is for the design enterprises, and they also operate 3 industrial estates. Again, apart from his public role, Dr. Chai is the group managing director for the Food Chain Group holding companies. And he's also received the Young Industrialist Award of Hong Kong back in 2004. To the left of Dr. Chai is Dr. Daniel Yip. Dr. Yip is the chairman for the Federation of Hong Kong Industries. The Federation of Hong Kong Industry established for almost 60 years, for over 60 years, and they represent 32 different industry groups, including in areas such as pharmaceutical, building materials, electrical, electronics, footwear, furniture, jewelry, garments, plastic, toys, logistic, wash, automotive, environmental, and so on. I mean, basically cover everything in Hong Kong. But he himself, apart from his role with the Federation of Industries, he's also run his own business. He's the managing director of the GEW International Corporation. And like Dr. Chai, he's also was awarded the Hong Kong Young Industrialist Award back in 1999. Last but not least, to the left of Dr. Yip is Nicholas Ho. As introduced by the MC, he's a chairman of the Ho and Partner Architects. But he's also a member, he's representing the Hong Kong, China to the APAC Business Advisory Council for Hong Kong. He's also a member of the Hong Kong Trade Development Council Belt and Road and Greater Bay Area Committee. Very experienced in also areas such as all the high-tech and also introducing a lot of startups to the region. So I think you all agree that we have a very impressive list of panelists here with us this afternoon to discuss opportunities to explore between Hong Kong and Thailand, or in fact to the whole the ASEAN region. So perhaps let me just start off with asking Dr. Lam, Peter, as I introduced you earlier, Peter, that you represent basically all the businesses in Hong Kong. And as mentioned by our two honorable speakers early on, both from Thailand and Hong Kong, this is really an unprecedented time. We are facing with a lot of new challenges with COVID-19 and so on. Now, I'm just curious, and I know Hong Kong governments, you've been talking to Hong Kong government a lot of how to help Hong Kong companies during this very challenging time. So I'm curious, perhaps you can share with us, our audience, both from Hong Kong and Thailand, what has been, what can Hong Kong Trade Development Council provide to Hong Kong businesses during this very interesting and tough time, given that the uncertainty in the global outlook. So perhaps maybe we can start with you explaining to us, how, what Hong Kong TDC can help.
Okay, thank you, Bernard. And also thank you, Dr. Gonzague, and also Kun Injai. Well, like I would just say that I'm very relaxing because I'm sitting among old friends, and we have been visiting Thailand frequently. And I was just saying that, shall I talk about what we can do with the Hong Kong first? I mean, technology-wise. The world has changed so much in the past 6 months. For me, two things really stood out as how important technology is and how important we work together with a global crisis happens. Hong Kong has so far been successful in containing the spread of the coronavirus. I think it's important because Hong Kong experienced from SARS many years back, and we can effectively use technology in different ways, like education, business, city management, and other things. There have been work to minimize disruptions and have kept our city from a total lockdown. In fact, many Hong Kong technology companies have developed products and solutions that are commercially viable and cost-effective. Many of these products has also international certified and are ready to use. Our technology company can therefore make a contribution by sharing their experience and solutions. I'm delighted Hong Kong TDC is helping in this effort. Official by today's webinar hosted by the Hong Kong government and the Thai Board of Investment, our Hong Kong Technology in Actions promotion will include B2B elements such as group and individual virtual business meetings. I know that tomorrow we have a group of about 17 companies in Hong Kong tech companies sharing their solutions with the Thai company in the virtual meetings. They'll be followed by buyer-driven one-on-one and a business meeting as well. Working together along the Belt and Road with Thailand, this is another example of how we can continue working together, especially when a global crisis hits. From this pandemic, we can appreciate how the Belt and Road Initiative and the Greater Bay Area's development can help cities, countries, and regions to come together. Thailand plays a key role as the hub in ASEAN, while Hong Kong is an established global business and financial platform. Together, we can overcome many challenges and driven our economic and social development forward. Actually, the Hong Kong TDC have been working closely with Thailand throughout the past few years. In addition to the MOU signed with the OSMEP, which is the National Board of SME Promotions, we also signed an MOU with the CP Group, the Bangkok Bank, Export-Import Bank of Thailand, and Siam Commercial Bank. Those MOU form a framework to foster trade, investment, and industry. And on the missions I led to Thailand last year, which is my first mission since I became the chairman of the TDC, I was honored to meet Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Sun Kit and also few friends here and learn about how Thailand will investments, environments, and the market potentials. We also discussed how we can work together to link up two regions, collecting Southeast Asia through Thailand and mainland China through Hong Kong and the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Areas. I'm happy to see our corporations have been flourishing. Last year, up to March 2020, more than 700 Thai companies joined our exhibitions and conference and missions. And over 4,200 Thai business people have joined our events in Hong Kong, including the Belt and Road Summit the last September. Looking ahead, our focus is to help companies adopt to changes in the global supply chain, and we're exploring opportunity in the industry park and manufacturing investment. I'm delighted that Kun Do-Ying Joy from the Board of Investment in Thailand has shared with us the latest on Thailand investment policy and incentive. So to conclude, the world tries to get economies back on track. We will cooperate with Thailand to help drive the recovery together in Asia. For this webinar and other exchanges, I hope to learn more about the Thai market needs and for us to share with you what we can offer. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. Maybe now I should turn to Dr. Chai Sunny. We were all in that same trip to Bangkok last year, November 20, to be exact, I think November 29, where in fact everyone in this room were witnessing the MOU signed by the Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Somkit, together with our Chief Executive, Carrie Lam. And I understand from that trip that there were so many MOUs signed on that day. I was so impressed because I wasn't expecting that it was not just an MOU between the government to government, but there were also other MOUs signed among different organizations, one of which is yours, the Hong Kong Science Park. So I remember you signed an MOU together with the National Science and Technology Development Agency, the NSTDA. So what has been the progress since then? I mean, I know for the last couple of months, everything been disrupted by COVID, but even before that, I was told that there has been some active dialogue between your organization and your Thai counterparts. Could you perhaps tell us a bit, what has been done so far and what you're looking forward to complete, hopefully after, we all contain the virus and we can move on, like what Dr. Lam was saying. There's so many things happening. It's just that there's a temporary disruption. But perhaps you can first tell us what has happened since then.
Thank you, Bernard. Maybe I start off to talk a bit about Hong Kong Science Park recent developments. 2 years ago, when I started to become chairman of HASTP, we had about 250 startups and about 500 plus tech companies. As of today, we have over 860 tech companies and over 400 startups in our corporation. And in terms of the collaboration with Thailand, I was very pleased that I had the opportunity to join the trip led by Secretary Yao last year. So it was very fruitful. Among the startups we brought together from Science Park and Southport, I was told many of them were actually doing business practically, but of course, under this year's situation, something was slowed down and they could only do this via Zoom or Team to do business online. And however, one of our biotech company who started their first R&D labs in Thailand, actually I went there for the opening. I remember it was January 2018. And I was told within 18 months, they had broken even their investment in Thailand, but don't tell their landlord, okay? So I don't want them to have a raise increase. And interesting enough, they start their office in the center of food and shopping. The R&D center is actually located in Quezon Plaza. Very beautiful office and R&D center, and they're expanding. Actually, what they do, they are doing genetic sequencing for detecting diagnostics for cancer treatments, meaning earlier detection of cancer treatment to get the right drugs. And also they're expanding the NGS in the later stage. And I was told they will be putting more effort and its investment into Thailand office. And while they were talking with many biotech companies in Science Park, many of their colleagues in the biotech cluster were also interested in what they have been doing so successfully in Bangkok. And if it's not the situation like currently, I'm sure there are many more tech companies who would have started their physical locations in Thailand. But I'm sure with the support from Thailand and Hong Kong government, Even under the COVID-19 situation, Hong Kong government has not been slowing down the support to INT. In a science park, we have just got our 2 billion support to building another microelectronic center, and other 3 billion earmarked for our science park expansion 2.0. So I'm very confident in the future, Hong Kong INT won't be slowed down, and we'll join hands with Thailand to build a better future for our INT ecosystem. Thank you, Bernard.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Stanley. So now I turn to Daniel.
Yes.
Now, you were also on that same trip to Bangkok, and Federation of Hong Kong Industry also signed an MOU. In fact, you signed the MOU with EEC, the Eastern Economic Corridor, which was being mentioned earlier from the presentation by the Madam Secretary General Kun Tun-jai. So EEC clearly is also a very significant development in Bangkok. So how do you see what's the progress since? I mean, are there any interest from Hong Kong manufacturers to moving the manufacturing from, say, mainland China or even from Hong Kong to EEC or to Thailand? Could you update us?
Okay, yes. Good afternoon, friends from Thailand and Hong Kong. It was a very interesting trip. Last November. Ever since then, we have a webinar. With one of the industry part that we visit in EEC. It's with Amata. The Amata webinar, which was happened about 3-4 weeks ago. So I've been interviewed by at least 8 social media, radio, newspaper, and TV. So I think the role of a federation of our federation is we promote the Thai business, the manufacturing structure to the greater public of the Hong Kong people. And I think during the interview, I told them there are 3 distinctive advantages to do business in Thailand. The first of all, Thai is quite a big market, in ASEAN. So if you relocate your factories to Thailand, automatically you access to the market, the market of consumer market, the consumer products and technologies. Secondly, Thailand has a very mature infrastructure of the supply chain. So its top 2 export business is the car and automotive parts, and it's electronics and equipment. So for the manufacturers, which they aim to relocate their factories, so this very sophisticated supply chain system is a bonus. The last but not least, Thailand and Hong Kong and China, they always have a very good relationship, good friendship. That will give them the confidence to relocate their factories to Thailand. So for me, recently I keep promoting, the increased tension between China and USA. I think the Hong Kong manufacturer, they must be considering alternate manufacturing location outside China. And I think Thailand is one of the top priority for them to relocate. Considering, the sophisticated supply chain system, the skillful laborers, well, of course, they are not the cheapest labor in Asia, but they do provide, good skills for basic industry like electronics, toys, and electrical appliances. I think, the manufacturers in Hong Kong, they are starting to know more and more about Thailand. And I strongly recommend, this is an ideal place for their first relocation.
Oh, thank you, Daniel. Now we turn to Nicholas Ho. Everyone seems to know that Nicholas really stands out from the rest of us because he's not in a suit. But that's a good sign because that means the future. I mean, I was once invited to the event, and it seems like without the suit is now the new trend. Everyone seems to respect the young people because they know where the new trend is going to be. So I'm going to turn to you and ask this question. I know that you actually have already spent quite a bit of time in Thailand. I know that you already have some. I don't know whether you actually have a business, but you're already looking to Thailand, and probably you probably spend more time than me in Bangkok. But just now, Madam Secretary General Kun Tun-jai also mentioned about the startup ecosystem in Thailand, and then want to invite us. I know you also are involved in the startup business as well, and so could you perhaps tell our audience your experience so far in actually, doing business in Thailand and taking advantage of what Thailand can offer to, young entrepreneurs like yourself, as well as maybe even startups. I also understand that under the COVID-19, you found some new opportunities. So maybe you can also tell our audience what COVID-19 have helped your business.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you very much, Bernard. It's a pleasure, I think, to share among friends again. Dr. Kopsak, Kun Donjai, it's great to see you again. I think for us, we are very startup community, or young entrepreneurship is a very resilient community. And for us, I think this year's the key word has been agility, adaptability, and also flexibility. And I think we can really see that when we're coordinating with our Thailand counterparts or Hong Kong counterparts. For example, I think further to what Daniel had mentioned just now, our Thailand journey started about 3 years ago when we first signed an MOU in Hong Kong during the Belt and Road Summit, witnessed by Dr. Somkit and also our chairman at TDC. And through that partnership, we're able to work with EEC office very closely, and with the strong support from Dr. Kopsak and also Dr. Kanit, that project called Sriracha Creative District, actually located in Chonburi in Thailand, has been making great headway to getting smart city approval and also PPP incentive with the BOI as well. So there is successful cases, and although during COVID, we all have to work from home sometimes and have a new norm, but business is as usual. And we have been very lucky because we have been in touch with the EC office and also Dr. Kopsak office, and has been very helpful in pushing it. And I remember reading an interview by Dr. Kopsak about a month ago saying that the project that we're working on may as well be the second smart city in Thailand after the EECI project. And I think with that experience, there is a strong narrative that we can echo or magnify into the EECI and EECD, opening up these projects for PPP model, where they can capture foreign investors when the terms and conditions and the development cycle is more obvious and more clear and transparent. And I think we're very bullish on the EEC as a whole. And regarding the startup communities, during these times, although we can't travel, but we're very lucky that 3 of our startup companies has making great headway in Thailand, one of which is called Prenetics. So they are a DNA testing and healthcare assessment company founded in Hong Kong. They're a biotech company, so they would fit very well with the BOI incentive. And since then, in Hong Kong, about 3 months ago, they have converted some of their operation to do COVID-19 RT-PCR test. And since then, they have been working with UK Premier League, Cricket League, Hong Kong Cathay Pacific, and now we're also exploring a new total solution model in Thailand to work with a partner locally. And they also actually have an MOU partnership with Bunrangrad Hospital as well.
Great. Well, thank you, Nicholas. I know we are almost going to run out of time, but I need to take this opportunity to ask Dr. Lam, Peter, for one more question, because as I introduced him earlier, you were formerly the chairman of the Hong Kong Tourism Board. Now, I mean, just about an hour ago or 45 minutes ago, I heard this great news from Dr. Kopsak that Thailand want to consider Hong Kong as one of the first few country or places to open up. And so that must have a huge impact, because I think Hong Kong people or Thai people, they love each other. But Hong Kong people love to go to Thailand. Thai people love to come to Hong Kong. I'm sure you agree this is the good news, right?
I should be on the first plane out. Well, like you said, Hong Kong has been very close relationship with Thailand, especially in promoting Thai as a very close destinations for tourists. I think we all been here locking down for about 4 or 5 months right now. And I'm sure every Hong Kong citizens, every people in Hong Kong, we're looking forward to go to Thailand, especially for the food and for the beautiful cities. And basically, I think, actually, I have a meeting this morning with the AA, and they were looking forward to saying that we're going to have a meeting today, possibly opening Thailand as one of the first destinations. They were very keen to have the first plane out to Thailand. I'm sure that we would, especially on the business side, obviously, if we can go, because we certainly will lead the delegations to Thailand immediately and talk about all the MOU been signing so far and all the business, ventures that we can cooperate together. I think we should, once we can do that, I'm sure TDC will lead a delegation under Secretary Yao, and then we'll be seeing our friends in Thailand and eating the Thai food.
Can you make sure that I'm on your same flight too?
Definitely.
I think everybody on this panel.
They were so keen, so we're happy to see that possibility to go to Thailand as the first destination opening.
We'd all look forward to that. So perhaps now we like to answer any questions from the audience, and any questions.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this remarkably interesting and informative discussion. Distinguished participants, this is a great time for you to submit your questions. Please use the Q&A button below. We will select some of the questions for the speakers and panelists to answer. So the first question I got here is for you, Your Excellency, Dr. Kapsak. Does Thailand have any plan to reopen the country or ease its coronavirus travel restrictions for a particular group of people or for some low-risk countries so that foreign investors can continue their businesses in Thailand? Sir?
Thank you. I think these questions come at the right time. Once we clean up the COVID in the countries, the very important next step is how to open up the economy again, especially welcome the business people and tourists back to Thailand in steps. This morning, the government have entertained that questions. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also the Ministry of Public Health have come to the Prime Ministers and the committee and proposed a way to opening up the border again. They said that we will look at the country or the authorities that has been fit with 4 criteria. One, must have very important in terms of economic to Thailand. Second, must be able to control COVID quite well. Third, have strong public health system. And fourth, would like to be ready and also interested to work with Thailand in this opening up. And then list 5 names to be the first choice to work with. Hong Kong is definitely one of them. So I'm very happy. I heard Kun Peter Lam said, you want to come to Thailand. I also want to go to Hong Kong. I miss all the great food there. I miss my great vacation there. So I've been in Thailand for 6 months already, going nowhere. So I hope that we can work together. And after Hong Kong is China, Japan, Korea, and Singapore. We probably target the group of business people, the technicians, people who need medical help, and we would like them to talk with the respective authority as soon as possible. I hope that Hong Kong and Thailand can come together as a first pair and then work out all the details and then move ahead on this front. We hope to do 2 things. One is a normal track for people who would like to come in for a long term. This will be normal way of doing the check-up, the quarantine, and then get into the countries. But they also propose a new way. It's called the fast track. This fast track for business people who have a short stay in Thailand and would like to come to do business. It can be less than 14 days. We will talk to the respective authorities about how can we shorten the time or how can we use a new technology, like in the case of Hong Kong, the wristband or other thing like that, or the application, so that we can be sure that when we opening up, we can keep the health concern under control. And there will be other issues that we would like to talk also, like how many times we would like to check, how many days, and then also what are the criteria on both sides. So these are the things that we talk and then already approved in principle today. The PM already gave indication that the MFA have to reconvene all the relevant agencies and then discuss among themselves and also start negotiate with partners in these 5 areas. So I think that we have the webinar on the right day. If we have 1 day earlier, then we have to wait for the decision. But we just write 3 hours later from the announcement. So I think this is a good sign, and I hope that we can work together.
Yeah. Can I take this opportunity, Program host and Dr. Kopsat, to thank Dr. Kopsat for bringing this good news, and also the Prime Minister's decision to include Hong Kong among the first batch of country and jurisdiction in this bilateral arrangement. In addition to picking an auspicious day, auspicious moment for this announcement, it also reflects the hard work by the 2 government and also the business community in making this materialize. I think over the last 1 or 2 weeks, we have been touching base through the bilateral means, but I believe there will also be a lot of work to do. I have asked my Commissioner for Tourism to lead a interdepartmental sort of delegation to start a conversation with the Thai government. In this particular exercise, I will be also joined by the health authorities in Hong Kong, the transport authority, because that will involve resumption of flights, as well as people who are involved in boundary control. The Hong Kong expectation from this bilateral arrangement will be very simple. It must be ensuring public health, that will all the passengers crossing the boundary in this new format will be checked and tested with sort of testing results fully support and accredited by both sides. And we hope to sort of take a cautious approach to start the conversation and sort of manage the number, but it should be able to scale up as soon as we feel comfortable. So Hong Kong stand ready to join this. In the meantime, I believe in this fight against the COVID-19, there's still a lot of room for both governments to work together. We have certain experience in working on the quarantine, the testing, and also the public policy. I'm sure we also have a lot to learn from Thailand. So I think this interdepartmental team would also carry on the conversation between the 2 governments. And I'll be happy to see the business sector joining in, and particularly with the business opportunity that will open up in our common fight against this COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. So the second question I have picked up from the floor is, may I ask how GBA concept, Greater Bay Area concept, increases business between Hong Kong and Thailand? Thank you.
Anything?
Okay. I think everybody knows, the GBA population is about the same size as Thailand, 66 million, and I think Hong Kong, is a well-known place, that is good for starting up the business. I think for Thai company, if they have a good product, good technology, or even some startup, I think they can consider Hong Kong, to set up their business center or the regional headquarters. And then, then they can look into the Greater Bay Area, because I think, right now, we have a lot of initiatives, that to facilitate, to enhance, to ease the business, to deal with between Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area, So I'm for sure in the future we will have even more opening up, between Greater Bay Area and Hong Kong. I think that will give access to such an important market. Yes.
Can I just say that, especially this year, we have the One Belt One Road this coming September. We have a special section to talk about GBA, how GBA and One Belt Road can be connected. I'm sure that would be something interesting if somebody from Thailand would be interested in investing in GBA. That would be a good opportunity for the Thai companies to come and join the forum in this September 30th. I will extend invitations to Thai side. I'm sorry, November 30th. November 30th.
Well, one thing I may add is, in fact, well, while a lot of people from Thailand knows about Hong Kong and also Greater Bay Area, very much in the same way as Hong Kong interested in Thailand as a springboard to your hinterland, the CLMVT and the wider ASEAN. So as a first landing point, I think we have this dual role that, well, we are not just serving our own city or country, but also as a springboard into the wider area, which is greatly needed by both traditional company, professional services, as well as startup. And then I think that explains the reason why the previous speakers spoke so energetically about our company going through Thailand into your region.
Mm-hmm. May I also add something? And also we, Secretary Yao, you talked about CLMV. Actually, we've been working in this region with Thai companies because as part of our responsibilities is to promote Thai overseas investment, and we focus on neighboring countries. So we have we have a good network of Thai companies that know this region very well. So apart from Thailand being the launching pad for Hong Kong companies that would like to do business in Thailand, if they want to go further, we can certainly signpost you to the right contacts, because we have a lot of companies in our network that know other countries in this region very well. We even have a sort of a kind of a club among Thai companies that have gone investing in CLMV. And also, since I have the floor, can I also, I'd like to add a little bit of information that was, I think, Sunny and Nicholas mentioned about this DNA sequencing. We are now having a program called Genomics Thailand, and it's going to be in the EEC, and we're going to have a data analysis, genomic sequencing service for 50,000 people. So this is a plan. So also a good opportunity for Hong Kong companies that are in this business. And also we have this, we have set up a company called Thailand Clinical Research Enterprise. The founders are all the 6 key medical schools in Thailand. The objective is to position Thailand as the hub for clinical trials. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the next question to the speakers and also the panelists, is it possible to know if there is any plan, area, or topic for the Hong Kong business sector to boost its economic and cultural collaboration with the ASEAN community? Thank you.
Well, I'll take the questions. I think, first of all, ASEAN is not a stranger to businessmen from Hong Kong. Many Hong Kong businesses have either business relationship or even family relationship with the ASEAN all through the years. Now, of course, in the last 20 years, with the opening up of China, the rise of many Chinese new companies, a lot of the focus from Hong Kong has been put to China. But now with also Chinese company taking advantage of the Belt and Road, they are also now expanding to ASEAN. So I think Hong Kong played a very interesting role, not just the traditional role that we already very familiar with. We are now a company, many Chinese company, take together with the Chinese company, go back to the ASEAN, which they are very familiar with. And obviously Thailand is one, because many people from Hong Kong, they know Thailand, they have relationship with Thailand, so they serve perfectly, not just for themselves, but to guide the Chinese company from the mainland to Thailand, and through Thailand to the CRMV countries. So I think, so basically we are renewing our relationship. Those relationships has been for decades. So we're now renewing this relationship, and hopefully now we can have a joint collective effort, as mentioned by our Secretary Yao just now. I mean, there's so much common synergy and value for all parties concerned regionally. So it's not just between Hong Kong and Thailand, but together with the whole region. So I'm actually very hopeful. This is probably by far the best time ever for the whole region.
I see George Lam, chairman of Cyberport, sitting in the audience. I visited Cyberport a week ago, and every now and then I go there and meet up with new company. Incidentally, I don't know whether it's George planning for this webinar or not. For both startup I was shown, they also mentioned about Thailand. So I was doing there randomly. So perhaps George can mention this sort of lively example, young entrepreneurs in quite different sort of industry, somehow connected with Thailand, right?
Thanks, Secretary Yao, for your visit, which is timely. I think our startups are very excited by Thailand. In fact, Thailand is on top of their list. They're waiting for this good news, to be able to expand their business in the ASEAN region through Thailand as the stepping stone or launching pad. Our startups have actually passed the test of resilience in the COVID-19 times. I think they work very hard. They have come up with a lot of solutions to help the dealing with the pandemic, including distance learning, home office, medical and healthcare, and household and workplace improvement, and a lot of frontline solutions such as specimen testing logistics, building monitoring enhancement system, and so on. All of them, I mean, not just a few, but more than 50 doing very well. And they want to share their best practices and ideas with their friends in Thailand. I think going forward, many opportunities indeed will be offered by Thailand, including 5G, for example. Our startups have been working very hard on 5G developments. Thanks to the Hong Kong SAR government investment in innovation and technology and a digital ecosystem, I think we are well positioned to do more in terms of insure tech, wealth tech, and education tech and digital entertainment in Thailand with Thailand's young and dynamic and entrepreneurial population. I think startups will be the key driver for economic development in both Thailand and Hong Kong. We look forward to more collaboration and teamwork going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have picked up the last question from the floor, which is quite long, so I'd like to close this discussion with this question. In today's discussion, we heard a lot about the potential for Thailand-Hong Kong partnership on various fronts. Tourism is certainly a sector to which both our economies attach great importance and see much room for collaboration. However, the current restrictions on travel between two places, which virtually cut off the people-to-people tie between us, are devastating our tourism trade and hampering potential for collaboration. In this connection, can you share with us how Hong Kong is planning to revive its tourism in the wake of the epidemic? Thank you.
Sure. I think, well, there are certain sort of important pointer we must stress. A, that, well, while we are keen to reopen the boundary, but to be honest, I think we are all facing this sort of a pandemic which spread across the entire world. So we must continue to be guided by public health. But at the same time, as I often say, we are fighting a twin battle, fighting the disease, but also helping the economy. So how to strike a balance is important. So I believe this is something that, well, we should think thoroughly within our own jurisdiction, but also important to establish workable protocol with like-minded country or jurisdiction where we both enjoy a sense of comfort and confidence. I have my commissioner for tourism in the audience, who will be tasked to talk to the Thai government on this bilateral arrangement. But at the same time, he can also shed some light on how we are doing in revitalizing the Hong Kong tourism before we actually open the door. Yeah, Joe.
Yes, thank you, Secretary Yao. Greetings to our Thai friends. In actual fact, COVID-19 has presented an unprecedented challenge to tourism development, not just in Hong Kong, but for the world, the whole world as well. Essentially, much of the international travels has grinded to a halt. In Hong Kong, the international visitors' arrivals actually dropped by drastically. So our approach is multi-pronged. Firstly, I think it is important to revitalize the local tourism scene first and foremost. So what we do is actually that we recently launched a Hello Hong Kong campaign, which is to encourage the locals to come out to rediscover our city from new perspectives. Through this, we hope to encourage the tourism trade to develop new products, not just for the savoring of the local populations, but also through them, actually, these new products can be new excitements for welcoming our overseas travelers in future. And through the locals joining various, local tourism experiences, they actually share it over the, say, social medias or whatnot, and share it over the world so as to, rekindle the friendship or our linkages with our many overseas friends who are looking forward to visit Hong Kong. And of course, apart from local tourism, it's also important to pave the way for the international travel as well. Just now, Dr. Kotsap and Secretary also mentioned about the special travel arrangements, which we look forward to work with the Thai government to open up the for the mutual traveling. And thirdly, actually, is about the in future we will sort of heavy up the tourism promotion so as to rekindle the interest of our Thai friends, and also for people from Hong Kong to visit Thailand. In actual fact, over the past 5 years, Hong Kong and Thailand are each other's mutual major source markets. I can see that over the past 5 years, Thai visitors coming to Hong Kong actually increased by over 120%. And for Hong Kongers going to Thailand actually increased by 60%. So each others are very important partners.
Okay. Big thanks to the speakers and panelists for all of your answers. Ladies and gentlemen, since we have very limited time, we can only answer some of the selected questions from the audience. Thank you very much for your questions. The unanswered questions, please don't worry about them. They will be answered individually by our officers via email. So before ending this seminar session, I would like to give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Yao to deliver a short closing remark. Please, sir.
Thank you. Well, I think I cannot thank all the speakers more in sort of contributing their ideas and also the goodwill that we have seen between the two economies. I believe, well, I hope this will just be the start of a sort of a long, close journey that Hong Kong and Thailand could sort of work together. From the discussion we just have now, I think there is a lot of goodwill between the two places and the peoples. And do not underestimate this goodwill, because it is this goodwill that would instill trust and confidence, which is so badly in need at a time of difficulty. And secondly, I think both Hong Kong and Thailand, despite the difference in size and the distance between us, I think there are very strong relative strength that we both have. But these relative strength would be having a very strong multiplier effect if we can both share and also work together. So the third concept is solidarity, sharing, and exchanges are so important where I believe there will be no sparing effort by both sides in seeing this from happening. The last point, I think, well, Hong Kong is a strong believer of the business community. That business always have their sense of finding the right opportunity at the right time. Of course, there will be a lot that government can do to facilitate. But I think as we tackle this global pandemic, Hong Kong will continue to be guided by the business world with the assistance of all the business leaders on both sides. But I also believe that, well, with the success between Hong Kong and Thailand, we can also sort of give the momentum and impetus for making this a bubble or this arrangement to the wider world in our region. So with all this hope, I hope I'll see you in the not too distant future, either through the web, continue to talk to each other, or physically, that we can give each other a big hug and good food and good sharing, hopefully in the shortest possible time to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words. And also His Excellency Dr. Kopsak will give us an honor and say some final words to close this webinar. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you everyone. I would like to say first that I'm very glad to see everyone again after November trip and to see that everyone is doing well. I also would like to thank our distinguished speaker for a great seminar. This is my first seminar in 5 months and I learned a lot. And in fact, I feel a great hope of returning to normalcies. And in fact, very, very happy to learn about all the progress that have been done over the past 6 months since the trip by Madam Chief Executive. This is also the collaboration that we have been done with HKTDC, HKSTP, with the Federation of Hong Kong Industries, and also in the private side with collaboration with CP, SCG, with Amata, with startup like Kinetic, and also especially also the project on Sriracha Creative District, which is also will become one of a new smart city in Thailand. The PM Prayut just told me try to work very hard and try to make sure that Thailand will have a smart cities. So I will go and talk to the Sriracha Creative District project and then try to push them. And we also learn a lot from His Excellency Secretary Yao, the 4R. I think both Hong Kong and Thailand have faced with the same struggle and also the same challenge. These 4R, we have overcome some of them, and we also have come a long way. But now, what is most important, I think, is the final R, the reconnect. The power of the economy comes from the synergy between the people. So we need to reconnect again from too much social distancing that we have done over the past couple months. If we can get people to come back with a good distance, the economy will survive. And in fact, we have to do more than that. We have to reconnect between economies, between countries. In this regard, I hope that Hong Kong and Thailand can work together to establish a special travel arrangement as we discussed before. And we can provide a great example to other countries around the world of how can we go back to normalcies and let people travel again. When I heard all the great progress that has been done, I feel that I would like to open up tomorrow so that we can meet each other again and I can go to the airport and receive everyone. But I think in a time of COVID, we need cautiousness. So basically, let the team of the two sides discuss the detail. And I hope that this will become the very first step toward the restart, the collaboration between Hong Kong and Thailand, according to the framework that Her Excellency Chief Executive Madam Carrie Lam have laid out in last November. I think in this regard, I asked myself, what would define as a success in time of COVID? I mean, what can we call a success in this time of COVID? I think there's two things. One, we must stay survive. We must stay relatively clean throughout all the period of COVID. If we can do that, that will be a great result. I think Hong Kong have done well. You have achieved zero transmission locally before many other countries, and Thailand followed Hong Kong footsteps. We hope that we can keep something like this until the end of it. And second, the success will come from the ability to hit the ground running. I think COVID have put a lot of constraint to everyone. At first, people stopped working, people stopped thinking, stopped doing anything. But when COVID have been more under control, I think now we are more relaxed and we can start thinking ahead of what we can do. This is the great chance that Hong Kong and Thailand have in common. So if we take this chance and work together, and hopefully that when COVID ends, we can then move quickly with the projects, with a collaborative work that we have prepared during this time together. This can be done between G2G, from government to government, in government level, or it can be done in terms of business side, like Secretary Yao have said, we have to let the business side run the show. Khun Dongchai have suggested several areas that will be great interest for both economies. One is on the food industry, smart electronic, digital economy, logistics, and also the medical hub, and also startup area. I think we hope to work more on the cyberport projects, and hopefully that we can communicate closer and we can see each other more, and we can travel between the country once the special arrangement has been in place. So I would like to thanks again everyone, and then very much would like to welcome everyone to Thailand and look forward to the close collaboration between Hong Kong and Thailand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your kind remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the end of this webinar. Thank you very much indeed for your attention and your participation. Please feel free to download the presentation by scanning the QR code on your screen right now.